Allyson Scammell, my buddy. I could just tell we're gonna have a good time here because we're both a little shot. What's up,
Yeah,
Allyson? What's up?
I am so happy to be here. You've got an amazing energy. I love this podcast.
Oh, thank you. Well, Allyson, we are in for a treat here. Allison's like one of these half spiritual, half business coaches, healer. Tell me where this story started, because there's always a good part to it. And just so we know, Allison's calling from the Netherlands. Nomad, full traveler, where I want to be in 10 years, is somewhere where she's located in that sense. But give me the whole lowdown, Allyson. What started this?
Oh gosh. Well, when I was a little kid, I wanted to do and I wanted to travel the world. And I grew up, I told you this, Scott, I grew up on a ranch in South Dakota. So fourth generation ranch girl, farm girl. And I just, from the youngest age, I had a suitcase, I think, in my hand, and I just wanted to travel. And I had this idea of what I wanted to do, but I was so little, I couldn't communicate it, but I knew I wanted to travel to far off places and do something. Well, then I discovered the Peace Corps, and I really thought that was the answer of to my prayers. So when I graduated from college, a week later, I was on a plane to rural Romania, where I was a Peace Corps volunteer for 2 years, and that sort of kicked off this career in international affairs, living all over the world, doing this work that I could have never described as a kid, but it was the exact work, like exactly. And I think because I didn't have the words, I just had the energy of it.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up manifesting that exact same thing, and it was rewarding for a while. And then I hit this point where I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not giving back the way I want to. I'm addicted to the adrenaline rush of this overseas work, and this isn't how I want to give back. And I feel more part of the problem than part of the solution. And it started to feel very icky and out of alignment. And that's when, kind of went downhill, got a little kind of rock bottomy, drinking too much alcohol, kept going to the next war zone to escape my problems. And I never really could escape from them. And then I just walked away from it one day, and I said, I can't do it anymore. And I bought an around the world ticket because I thought, well, okay, if it's not work travel that'll solve my problems, then pleasure travel will solve my problems. And I made it as far as Madrid.
Wow.
And I ended up, and this was 2009, and I ended up having a near-death experience.
Come on. I want all of it. Was there drugs involved? Was there alcohol involved? Who was the guy? I need all the details, Allyson.
This is a funny one. This is a hard one. I always say it's not your typical near-death experience. It's not, I wish it was, but near-death experiences have a lot of different flavors to it. And I don't normally talk about this in a podcast like this, but you're such a good host, and I'm doing all the talking.
Please, dude, this is the point. I've my skill is not talking, and I'm really observing, and I'm like, this is what I've been waiting for. I'm waiting for the story, because there's going to be some juiciness here.
It is juicy. Now, before I launch into this, it helps to know, are you familiar with Abraham Hicks?
No.
Okay. So my near-death experience is just, it's very spiritual, and it's a little unconventional, even for, NDEs in general are unconventional. And then it's the unconventional of the unconventional, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
I was visited, if you will, by a collection of consciousness.
Okay.
And so Abraham Hicks is a collection of consciousness that is written by a woman named Esther Hicks. She should check her stuff out.
I've heard of her name. Yes, I've heard.
Yes, Esther Hicks. So she's
sense.
channeled this collection of consciousness that's called Abraham. And I had something similar happen to me, where this collection of consciousness arrived to me and basically said they were from my soul family. So sorry, I'm going really deep here. We're going really woo here. And basically, they said that they were here to help me heal, because I had a lot of really, really deep trauma inside of me that was trapped and needed to get out. And it was so profound that, like, I couldn't just go to a therapist to heal. I had this literal sort of divine intervention to help me heal from this trauma. And the long story short is I literally had to cross over, if you will, to the other side and physically pass away, if you will, for I don't know how long I was crossed over in order for me to really heal from what was inside of me. And yeah, so I that happened to me. And why I think it's relevant for you, for this podcast, your listeners, is when I came back from that, my intuitive gifts, which at that time were sort of like, I wasn't really sure, and I knew there was an intuition, but I didn't know what it was. But when I came back, I was just blown open. My intuitive gifts were open. I had these clairvoyant gifts, clairaudient gifts. My awareness of spirituality in the non-physical world was just, it was like I went from nothing to like an explosion of insights and understanding and awareness, and it all happened kind of overnight.
Wow. Okay. Now I want to take that. We're going to talk about all the after effects, but during this process, was there anything when you were actually crossing over? Was there anything like it that you've ever experienced, like DMT or a drug or maybe like another near death experience? Was there anything like this? Like, was this, like, how do you describe the process?
Well, there's this great quote I just got from the Tao Tzu. Allow me to have it here. I have it here. If you just give me 1 second, I will get it right. Basically, what the quote says is, to sum it up, some of the most profound experiences in life you just can't have words for. And I really can't have words for this. I can do my very best to try to bring it to life. But when I crossed over, it was a feeling, I guess I would say, a feeling that was unlike, it really was an all-encompassing, the strongest words to come through are love and wisdom. It was like an all-loving, all-knowing feeling, energy, vibration that I was now part of. And it was so amazing, so beautiful and incredible, and definitely not anything to ever be feared. and just this, yeah. So here's the quote from Lao Tzu. Any words used will fundamentally add error to the true meaning of being. And that's how I feel about describing crossing over. Any words will add error to it because it's beyond words. It's really beyond words. And the only thing I can use to describe it as clearly as I can, it was an all-knowing, all-loving. So it was like you just had everything you needed, nothing. And there was a oneness to it, a wholeness, that, I went on to experience something similar in human form, not that profoundly, but I had a couple, I don't know if they were like aftershocks, like from a earthquake. I had it on a couple of different occasions after the NDE, like maybe about a month after the NDE, I had just in these weird, it just kind of randomly happened. Like when I was walking down the street, I had a few minutes, 5 minutes, 10, I don't know, where I had this feeling of being in like God consciousness as I was walking. And it just came to me on 2 separate occasions about a month after it. And that's the only time I've ever experienced it in real, like, human waking form.
Well, I appreciate you telling and filling us in on that story. And if you would have spoke to me 7 years ago, I'd been like, what is this wacky shit Allison's talking about? But those experiences, not that I went through anything even close to that, but I think when you're doing spirituality, and I'm not saying I'm gifted by any means, I'm just saying you feel certain things. And for me, when I started meditating, it was like somebody was telling me something. There was the word, and I know how tough it is to describe this stuff. That's what makes, I think, the spiritual world so beautiful, is like, sometimes you don't need the English language to it. There's a stillness to it. There's a wholeness to it, but there's just a certain certainty I would describe when I've, whatever, when I just feel that wholeness. Like I feel like you were saying, you feel like the cosmic consciousness itself, like you understand, like you just get, like everything clicked for me. And that's unfortunately like a thing I've kind of chased through my meditations. I think kind of, it's that never ending cycle. But let's get back to you now with this story. After this, you have these effects, you just feel more connected, all this stuff. where does it go from there? And did you also feel this certain certainty after your experience, like this put you on the right path? Like this was your vision? Because with the people I've been talking to, there seems to be something that's truly pulling them forward. This
Yeah.
vision of what they want or what they want for the world. That's the other thing. Two cool things I've been noticing. The vision, and then the vision is not about you. It's about helping others in some way. Could you walk me through that, or if that's even accurate to what you
That's
experienced?
1,000% accurate. And I do have to say, Scott, I don't normally just throw this story out. Like, you have a power to get people to open up. And it was like, before I had this experience, I would have been, if I would have heard somebody else telling this story, I would have been like, oh, okay, maybe she had one too many beers tonight or whatever. So I get it. And I just want you to know, like, I'm a really grounded person. Like I said, I'm a farm girl. Yeah, so you know, things happen, you know, in the spiritual world you can't explain. But so if any listeners out there relating to this, just know I honor you. I see you. Your stories are real. These experiences are real. There's a lot we can't explain. There's a lot people don't talk about in polite conversation, right? So we're the outliers. We're the outliers having these experiences and sharing about it. It takes a lot of courage to do that. So there's, getting back to your question, yes, 1,000% I received a vision during this experience. And it was more so, it was definitely, the vision was more so about the collective, about the planet. And I received a vision for, you know, where Earth is evolving to, if and when it is in alignment to this higher consciousness, this new Earth, this golden age. And I received, and this was back in 2009, I didn't even know, you know, I was living a very unconscious, not like asleep experience. So I didn't know anything about the age of the Aquarius, or like, you know, a golden age or evolving consciousness or anything like that. And I received this vision for what Earth could look like. And maybe it was a vision of what it will look like. I mean, I hope, but it was a vision of the Earth where everybody thrives and there's equity and there's connection and love and unity. And there was no excess, there's no waste, there was no the haves, the have-nots. And it was just such an incredible vision. And then I knew when I came back, because a piece of me, I mean, you'll probably hear this a lot with NDEs, there's always a piece of you that doesn't want to come back because it feels too good when you cross over. So it was definitely a piece of me that didn't want to go back to the human form and go back into the you know, that pain and suffering, because the NDE happened during a time where I was going through a lot of pain. So there was a piece of me that didn't want to go back to that. But when I thought of the vision, I knew I had to. I knew I was part of the team of people, you know, that was going to help bring this vision into reality.
And this was before spirituality was cool, right? This isn't no 2016. You're in 2009. I would have been like, who is this chick talking about these crossovers? Give me a freaking Kettle One on the rocks. That's what I would have been telling you 2009.
I would have been with you. I'd have been like, pour me a glass. I mean, that's why I didn't tell my story. Like I haven't, like, I just kind of started telling my story like in the last 12 months, you know, and it's been 13 years for this very reason. And
Wow.
and the thing is, like, I'm pretty, like, I would say in the last 3-4 years, I've been pretty woo and I haven't been holding back. But my story, this NDE story, was really the one that's been challenging for me to tell.
No, and I really appreciate that. And I do know I have that superpower, Allison.
You do?
I bank on it. I bank
Oh my
on it.
gosh.
So no, and just honestly, the psychic guest that I have all say that's me, and I'm just like, I'm putting myself on the team. I'm like, I got something here. Tell me.
Heck yeah.
See,
You do.
What is this
You do.
age of Aquarius? Because I am an Aquarius. It was my birthday last week. What is that?
Yeah, so the age of the Aquarius is a period that Earth started to go through, started to enter into on December 21st, 2019, which when you think about it, it was kind of right before the pandemic kicked off. And, you know, whenever there's a period of like consciousness rising like that, which that's what the age of Aquarius is. It's a period of where we kick off, where the collective enters higher consciousness. So we're vibrating higher, we're more connected, more joyful, more creative, coming up with greater solutions and technologies, etc. And it often, when this happens, is accompanied with turmoil, you know? So that's like the contrast, right? On the one hand, we're experiencing greater light, but at the same time, there's a greater darkness. So that really kicked off right at the beginning of end of 2019, beginning of 2020, and it's a term from astrology, really. And I believe I'm not an astrologer, but we enter into a period of time, I want to say 20 years of the age of Aquarius, where we are basically restructuring and we are rebuilding, and some systems are going to crumble and fall down. And those are the broken systems that don't work and that keep us divided and keep us separate and keep us in a system where there are haves and have-nots, so that new systems can arise and can be birthed, systems that serve us and serve us all equitably, and again, enable everyone to thrive. That's been a big message that's come through from my divine support team, is that in this new age that's coming through of higher consciousness, what we're setting up systems that really enable all people to thrive, and not just certain percentages, or not just the top 1% or whatever. And so as that happens, you know, the old systems that don't work will have to be broken down before the new systems can replace them. So it's a time of great awakening, and it's accompanied with a time of great rattling, if you will.
No, I'm with you, because I think with any type of growth or transformation, there's going to be some,
Pain.
you know, you gotta be able to make some pressure to get the diamonds, right? And I think if you're looking at 20 years, all right, we'll take even till, I mean, I don't know if we're going to make it till 2025 like this, but it seems the cages have been rattled enough. And like, I think regardless of the unconsciousness, like how you were living in 2009, I would say I was living like that literally up until 2019, which is funny. I'll tell you the funny part of this house. My official divorce became official December 20th, 2019. It's pretty
wow.
weird. And now
that is weird.
It's very odd. And I told all the kids in my office, we were killing it. We're killing it. Work, we're making it. I'm just going, something weird's going to come. I just felt it. 2020. I was like, I can't describe it. It's just something weird. And now these kids think I'm a freaking guru. I'm like, listen, I can't tell you what it is. That's why I'm talking to you, Allyson. Allyson knows how to word these things, but I just feel something. No, so that is interesting. And like, I feel like people now, there's a much more anxiety. There's much more tension almost, but there's more awareness. And I think this is us kind of understand, like some people are, I love COVID. COVID was amazing. This is when all this stuff happened. I loved it. And I feel like I leveled up as far as being aware, but it's kind of, you know, you see the people that are walking through unconsciously and doing this and doing that. It's like, this is going to take some time for people who are just completely not aware of any of this. Now, do you take the approach, like, because you said everybody, which I love, because I've had some light workers on here that say, well, there's gonna be some people just fall to the wayside. You think everybody's going to have to kind of wake up, maybe learn how to handle social media better, learn how to handle the news better, learn how to handle the corruption from the top of the government in the United States? Like, how do you think the entire population works this all out?
It's a really good question. I mean, I guess I have to agree with the other light workers in the sense that those who aren't ready for this and who aren't choosing it are not going to have it. You know, you have to choose to evolve. You have to choose to go to higher consciousness. You have to choose to, you know, connect to your higher self and be guided and, you know, be on your soul path and understand your soul mission, even if you're not using those words and it's maybe a little bit more subtle. You're still choosing it. And for those who don't choose it, it's, you know, if you hold the beliefs, like I believe we live many, many lifetimes, this is just going to be a lifetime where they're going to, they're probably not going to evolve that much. And we've all had our lifetimes where we've, I heard one spiritual guru call it the potato farmer lifetime, where you just have your lifetime and you're a potato farmer and you grow your potatoes, and, it just, you're kind of in an in-between state where there's not tons of growth happening or tons of bad things or whatever. So, I think I do believe that there are going to be people who stay unaware and unconscious. It's not going to happen to them then. This is a choice and you've got to make it. And it doesn't mean you have to change your life and you don't have to move to Tibet and become, a monk or something to choose this. It's the choosing can be very subtle. I choose in subtle ways. I choose to wake up. I choose to see what's really happening. I choose to see the truth in the world. I choose to see the truth in myself. And when that happens, you will wake up and you will be on this path, and you will evolve. You will evolve to something higher when you choose it. But if you don't choose it, and anybody who's listening to this, what minute are we on?
We are on minute 25 already.
If you're listening to this on minute 25, you've made the choice. I am convinced of it. Yes.
And I think, I'm telling you, you got a lot of people listening to this one, Allyson, just because I'll tell you after how many people listening, but I don't want to get everybody nervous. But this is exciting. Now, as far as the work goes, the finding your soul piece and matching this with business, right? How do you walk through this with clients? Because for me, the biggest thing I have a lot of young guys who listen to this, 18-year-old, 19-year-old guys go, Scott, I love the spiritual stuff. I want to jump into it, but I got to make a living. What do I do? And I'm sitting here saying, dude, I don't know either. I'm trying to figure this out. How do you break this down for them?
I am the right guest for you. This is my bread and butter because I am female, if you haven't figured that out, but I have a strong masculine energy inside of me. And I bring that up because you can look at the spiritual aspects of the spirituality and the feeling and the intuition as being more feminine energy, and the doing and the action and the earning and hey, let's grow our business. That's more of a doing masculine energy to make something complex, to simplify it a little bit. And I really like to combine the two. And I feel like when you have a nice combination of both, that is when I see businesses take off, right? And I have my clients who just want to do the intuition stuff and just the spiritual stuff. And I don't see them necessarily growing the way I wish them to. And then I have my clients who are just doing the doing and not checking into their intuition and not checking their energy, and they're not doing stuff. But myself and my clients who I see combining the two energies, that's when I see their yearly salaries and income levels doubling, tripling, quadrupling. And what it is just marrying your energy and your intuition with what you want to bring into your experience. And the more you can tap into your intuition to decide what it is you want, instead of being driven by ego wants. And I think ego wants from time to time are healthy. Do you like a certain very expensive sneakers? It is fine. Buy those sneakers. But for the big stuff, what do I want to sell in my business? Who do I want to serve? How much money do I want to make my business in 2022? That to me needs to be led by the voice of your higher self, your heart, because that's going to put you on the right path to experiencing real joy in your business. Because if your heart is saying, I want a $50,000 a year, and your head is saying, I want a $200,000 a year, you're going to be out of alignment. And the $200,000, even if it's going to come in, is going to come at a cost that probably won't be very joyful for you.
No, that makes sense. And now to this higher, to the bigger goal, right? This actual change. Do you suggest to your clients, is it about finding that passion in living your life and being able to go to a job you enjoy? Or is it about keeping your job, staying what you're doing, and being able to find the small things that make you happy in that? Because I'm talking about a kid who's working a 9 to 5. Listen, I'm doing this, but I really want to play an instrument. I want to make pottery. I want to be an artist. How do you coach people through that? Because for me, it just seems there's a belief issue there, and I'm speaking for myself as well. What does that look like?
So what I tell people, and hey, I have been there. I side hustled for 11 years before I had the ovaries to go full time in my business and actually quit my old job. So yeah, I tell people, and I coach a lot of people who are in this space, is keep your day job for as long as you can and let that day job fuel your passion. So if you are someone who feels like you want, like you feel it in your heart, you feel this desire to create, this desire to be a coach or a musician or an artist or a writer, those are, and you feel this coming in from your heart, I say, if you can keep the financial pressure off for yourself, because it takes time and space to get going, to get started, to get momentum behind whatever it is you're offering. So if you have some sort of day job to help fuel your passion, to help fund it, and you're not in a space where you're worried about rent, you're worried about paying your bills, you're worried about paying your cell phone bill, you're gonna put yourself in a much better position. So my advice is always stay in your day job for as long as you can, and really have treat your creative pursuits more like a side hustle at the beginning. And then at a certain point, when your side hustle starts to make money for you, then you can, take that leap of faith. But it's really, really hard to take the leap of faith when the side hustle hasn't started earning money yet, because then you get into putting pressure on yourself to earn. And it's hard to earn in a business when there's lots of financial pressure on you. It's not impossible, but it just, it makes it more challenging, I would say.
No, and I think, that's where people get confused, because they hear that Tony Robbins, that masculine energy, that you got to burn the ships to take the boat. And I'm like, yo, I got to pay rent every month, motherfucker. Like, that's not how this works. So I do good. I'm glad that I've been sort of advising the kids the right way. Cause I tell them too, even from my perspective, like I've been doing stand-up comedy for 2 years, and I'm like, I don't know if this is I know I'm like chasing. I feel like when you try to find your purpose, so to say, and I hate using that word, but try to find something that you're passionate about, you're like moving towards like a star that's moving in a way. It's like, oh, this feels right, connecting with people, but comedy may not be the best. Maybe it's public speaking, maybe it's this or that. It takes years to kind of unveil this, but that's the exciting part. And that's why I try to tell the kids, like, you're not going to wake up if you don't know it by our age, 20, 30, where your passion is. You're going to have to just try some shit. And that's the fun part of this. That's the niche, that's what, Nietzsche said. You just got to keep saying yes to things until you find that one thing that kind of sticks and gets you revved up and kind of excited.
That's a brilliant point, Scott. And you're even more brilliant that you think that I get to be part of our age, like, because I think I'm much older than you, but thank you for saying
I didn't say
our
that,
age.
Allyson. You threw yourself under the bus. I knew it subconsciously. I was just saying, hey.
I thought you said our age. I thought
yeah, it did say our age.
You and me together.
Yeah,
in
I
the
was
same
putting
age
you on. I'm
bracket.
not trying to throw you over the bus here. I know how old you are. You think I don't do my due diligence? I was making you feel good.
It worked. You're so good at this. But no, your point was really, really brilliant. Finding, and so many of my clients come to me and say, I just want clarity. I just want clarity. Clarity is sometimes really hard to coach people to getting clarity. When clarity really, really comes is doing exactly what you just said. Doing it, sticking your toe in different waters, trying stand-up comedy, trying public speaking, trying writing, trying podcasting, and in time, when you dip your toe in enough waters, you're gonna start to get the clarity. You're gonna start. And I side hustled for 10 years. Scott, I tried to launch a line of women's business suits. I wrote like 3 books, like 3 full-length books. I started a peace blog. I did all manner of things that they didn't take, but they were part of my journey to finding where I am today as an intuitive business coach. But boy, did I not start out as one.
Right. No, and I think people like will look at that, because be like, well, I say that to people, what? Well, you sit hours writing stand-up comedy, because being stage, I've had like the worst bit of stage fright, but I got over it. And now it's easier. I can just bullshit in front of everybody. People go, well, don't you feel like you're wasting your time? I go, hell, why would I be wasting my time? Why would Allyson be wasting her time? These are building blocks that are putting you on that path. Because maybe if you didn't write those 3 books or, try the suits, you never would be able to help somebody. And then the other part is I look at it like you're building, like you're just giving yourself confidence to try stuff that's new. Because for the guys I talk to through email, they don't want to look like a fool. They don't want to be bad at something. But that's the oldest parable or archetype in the world, becoming the fool to the king. You have to be able to be comfortable with sucking, because you're going to suck at anything that you try new for a couple months, and then you're going to get better at it. Getting through that process. It was the hardest part for me. I quit everything in my 20s the second something got hard, and now I just said I'm sticking to my guns, podcast and comedy, some public speaking and stuff. And it's been beautiful because nothing's ever a waste. I don't look at that at all, because this is, like I said, you're on this journey, and maybe you're not going to find exactly what you want to do in the first day of meditation or something like that. It's not that easy.
It's not that easy. And it really is a journey. And you really summed it up. And everything you try, every quote unquote failure, it's really, the trick is viewing all failure as feedback. It's just feedback, and it all adds up. It all adds up. So when you do get clarity on what it is you want, all of those feedbacks from the past, they're all making you who you are today. It's like, have you seen the movie Slumdog Millionaire? I don't know if you saw that film, and it was like, it was like, every little experience from his past got him to the $1 million. And that's how it is in our lives. It's all part of our soul path. It's not just coincidence. I don't believe in coincidences. It's not just happenstance. It's like every failure or feedback, every success from our path is taking us to a certain direction, especially when you start to listen to the voice of your heart and you start to live a soul aligned life. You better believe every roadblock, every challenge is part of your path, and giving you that clarity and helping you to arrive to that place that you really want to go.
Yes. No, well said, Allyson. And we're talking a lot about clarity. We're talking about the soul. This is going to tie into intuition here, so I might as well ask the expert here. What would you say are a couple steps to amplify intuition, help listen to your your inner wisdom, or even just trust yourself with making decisions?
That is a great question. I love that question. And because I have a lot of masculine energy, and I don't mean that in like a gender perspective, like mean it more from an energetic perspective.
I got you. I feel like I'm Mr. Feminine energy, to be honest with you. I don't know why. It's just what I feel, but whatever. I'm with you.
Oh, it's good. Like I said, having a healthy combination of both is really going to help. It helps you bring success into your experience. So I have a 5-step process. I'm going to use and I have 2 5-step processes. Ooh. And I'm going to ask my intuition to say which is the one that wants to be shared in this episode today. Okay. So I have a 5-step process to amplify your intuitive gifts. And it's not a linear, I should say. It can be linear, but it can be so it's more. It's better to look at it as 5 stages you can expect to go through when you want to, with intention, amplify your intuitive gifts. And so an intuitive gift, I define as the way in which you communicate with your intuition, really. And if you want to look at spirit guides or source or the universe, any sort of consciousness that is here, higher consciousness that is here, non-physical form, to help guide and support you on your path. You use your intuitive gifts to be able to communicate with that consciousness. Mm-hmm. So are you ready for these 5 stages?
I'm eagerly waiting. I was going to write it down, but I'm like, I got this recorded, so I don't got to worry about it. So I'm in it.
Pretty powerful stuff. And right now, so we've got, next week we're recording, if it's okay, I say when we're actually not next week. Sorry, tomorrow. Tomorrow is 2/22/22. February 22nd, 2022. The number 2 is a really powerful number. And the number 222 is actually the number of the angels. So if you ever look at the time and it's 2:22 or it's 22:22 at 10:22 at night, the angels are with you. So I'm raising that because the energy on planet is really powerful right now. And it's actually an amazing time to, with intention, ask the energy around you to help you amplify your intuitive gifts. So this is coming at a really powerful time. Are you ready?
Hell yeah.
Okay. So stage 1, or you can look at it as step 1, is in the amplification of your intuitive gifts, is what I call the invitation. It's like I was talking about earlier. To grow and evolve, you have to invite it in. And oftentimes we do this on a subconscious level. We're kind of subconsciously inviting it in without even being aware of it. But this is when we're going to be consciously say, I am ready. I am ready to grow, evolve, and have a deeper connection to my intuitive gifts. So how do you do that? Simple. You just set the intention. Set the intention. I intend to invite in a higher and deeper connection to my intuitive gifts and my divine support team, if that feels good. Because for me, it goes beyond just the voice of your intuition. It goes, beyond that. But you should use the words that feel good and true to you.
Sure.
And then in making that invitation, you really are opening your energy up to allowing. You're kicking off a process by initiating this invitation. And that process, you're saying, I'm ready to allow this process to unfold. And the process comes in the next 4 stages. Any questions?
Nope, I got it.
Okay.
If I'm going to do this, let's say, I wake up at 4 a.m., I meditate. Is it better to do this for people with their ritual practice before or after? It sounds like something you want to do like to start the day off, but I thought I'd clarify.
I would say how your intuition is guiding you. What does your intuition tell you?
Before.
Yes.
First thing in the morning. Okay.
Yes, beautiful. Early morning is a great time to connect in with your spiritual support team. Okay, so stage 2 is, sometimes stage 2 and 3 changes, but I will go stage 2 is calibration. So whenever you want to have a more clear connection to the non-physical realm, the spiritual realm, there's some sort of calibration happening. So what does that mean? The spiritual realm, the light energy that is vibrating at a very, very high frequency. It's a very high vibrational space. God consciousness is vibrating energy, and it's a very high vibration, right? So you want to tune your own energy body. You want to raise the energy of your energy body to be more of a match to that non-physical consciousness. And the higher you raise your energy body to meet that, the more open the door is between you and physical form and that non-physical form for those insights and downloads and clarity and understanding to come through. And it just kind of flows back and forth. So the calibration is literally your energy body raising to higher and higher frequencies. And the cool part about this stage is it has physical components, like physical sensations. You can feel it. And I know a lot of your listeners are interested in this stuff, but they want evidence. They want proof that this is happening. It's real. They're not just imagining it. And so the calibration stage is really cool because it gives you like physical proof that this amplification process is taking place. Mm-hmm. So here are some examples of the physical sensations you can expect to experience. Waking up very early in the morning. It's almost like your brain is like, tap, 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 Scott, it's time to wake up. Like, even when you don't want to wake up, like at 3 o'clock in the morning, I don't know if you've ever had that where you're just like being woke up.
Every day.
Okay.
This is, I love waking up early, but at this point in my life, like my cousin's like, we were in the Poconos this weekend. Everybody we were smoking pot on the weekend. We were doing this. I was up 4 a.m. Like, guys, we got to meditate. I woke up everybody. We did a Scott day. So I'm with you. And I think there's something to that, right? There's that time, 3 to 4 a.m. is when the doors open the most. I'm familiar with that a little bit. Gotcha.
Yes. So you'll experience that a little bit when you're going through a calibration. You'll experience that a little bit more, a little bit greater. It'll be a little bit stronger. You could feel tingling vibrations on your body, tingling on your skin. You can feel one physical sensation. I call it the banana. You feel like right at your crown chakra, that's the space right above your head. You can feel like it's almost like a peeling back sensation, and you can feel a lot of tingling right at the crown chakra. You can experience ringing in the ear. You can even experience, in more extreme cases, like earaches, ear pain. And again, in more extreme situations, you can extreme nausea and actually vomiting. Like they say, when shamans, do a purge and there's a lot of vomiting, they actually say they're purging out toxins in order for their energy bodies to raise, so they can be more, that their door can open and they can be more matched to the non-physical world. So these are all different physical sensations you can experience during the calibration.
Gotcha. And just so, again, for the boys listening, everybody saying, Allyson, this girl, Allyson, come on, Allyson, let's get serious. I'm telling you, people, this happened to me. I went to the doctor and I was like, Doc, got an earache. I feel sick. I was like, what's going on? And this is one of the light workers told me, Allyson. I'm like, because I would say I'm not like jumping into this like crazy, but every time I like back check myself, I go to the doctor. He's like, you're fine. What the hell? And like, this all makes sense. So I'm not saying I'm fully with you. I'm mostly there because this stuff is real. Like I thought I had COVID. I was like, Doc, I got COVID. I got this earache. My head hurts. He's like, you're totally fine. I was like, what the fuck? So I'm with you. I'm sorry. Go.
No, you're totally being calibrated. And I'm with all the people out there. It's like, is this woman legitimate? Like, I am with you. And I say, trust me and verify. Trust me and verify. So that's all I'm asking you. Be open with an open heart, trust and verify, and just see how you experience it.
Exactly.
Okay.
Well said.
Stage 3. You're going to like this one. Stage 3, so we have invitation, calibration. Stage 3 is isolation. You will get called. You will feel the call to isolate in some way, shape, or form when you're going through an amplification. It can be very subtle. I'm being called to wake up at 4 a.m. and meditate. Or it can be bigger. I'm being called to go on a 7-day retreat, a silent retreat, or a meditation retreat. Or I'm being called to just get on the plane and go to Thailand. Or get on the plane and go by myself to Switzerland.
Yes. See it's just you guys are telling me what I'm doing it regardless. See, I'm on stage 4 already. Easy peasy.
Exactly. So you will feel this call to get away from your normal routine. That takes you, when you're in your normal routine, it's really, really hard to go deep inside your cave and connect in with yourself and connect in with the divine. So what the divine wants you to do is get out of your ordinary situation and really go to some sort of space where you can inner reflect, go into your inner cave. And that usually requires some sort of isolation from your everyday routine.
I love that one. That's my favorite.
Yes.
And just again, so everybody knows that I was talking to Allyson about this earlier. And for me, I would call myself more like an urban shaman at this point because I take that time to like be told, like, I don't want to be told who I am by my boss. I don't want to be called my name by my mother. I don't want work stuff. I don't even want podcast stuff. I just want to like be the essence of Scott when I went to Hawaii for a month in August. Everybody was trying to come with me. I'm like, guys, it's not for you. It's not for women. It's not for partying. It's just to sit and just be. People are like, you're crazy. No, this is where, for me, I have these little epiphanies of moments of like clarity and this and that. Like, this is what's needed for me, at least. So I'm with you.
Fantastic. You're going to like stage 4 then. So again, invitation, calibration, isolation. Stage 4 is initiation. What does that mean? Whenever we are amplifying our intuitive gifts, it means at its core, we are raising our energetic vibration. In order to do that, you need to release any sort of block that's inside you because our blocks weigh us down. So initiation, normally, when we get called to this, when we get called to isolation, normally there can be some sort of challenge or fear. Like I'm being called to go to Hawaii. All my friends want to come with me, but I have to tell them, and maybe this was easy for you. I have to tell them, no, dudes, this is for me.
It was terrible. I had to do a trip. I did a trip before and after, Alice. I did 3 trips in a row just so I can get to Hawaii by myself. We went to Vegas, then we went to Hawaii, me, and I went to Arizona after. I hated Arizona and Vegas, but I love Hawaii. So I'm with you. Again, same thing.
Yeah. So you were initiating and there was some discomfort associated. You're like, I have to tell my buddies that I don't want them to come with. That's hard because they're your buddies. They're your, you know, they're your circle, right? Your support circle. So normally, it's not always, but normally our calls to isolation has some sort of resistance. You know, a lot of my clients are moms and they get called away and they're like, I can't leave my kids. I can't leave my husband. And then I'm like, is that true? You can't leave them for 3 or 4 days. I think they'll be okay because you're being called. And it's, they have guilt and they have shame. And normally the initiation, it's going deeper. It's way more about leaving your kids for 3 days. There's a deep wound inside that's forming the block and weighing us down. So it's about releasing that wound, releasing that shame or that fear. And in doing that, energy vibrations raise and you face the fear. You face the fear of going on that trip by yourself and you do it, you get on the other side, you're gonna experience an amplification and a raising of your energy because you've been initiated.
I like that. I like that a lot.
And then the last stage is really communication. And I like this stage because it tells you that this process is not a one and done. Communication is the daily and weekly and monthly and yearly communion and connection you have with your intuitive gifts. So it's how you decide to communicate with and exercise your intuitive gifts on the daily. And I always say it's really important to go to the gym of your intuition because we exercise our intuitive muscles just like we exercise our physical muscles. And the more we do it, the stronger and more lean and agile and quick they get. So we can, in the amplification process, we do get upgrades, you know, where all of a sudden, you know, something will happen, we'll get initiated and we'll have this calibration and all of a sudden we'll experience an upgrade. But it's really about the journey. And the 5th stage is really about how we approach our relationship with our intuitive gifts and that daily and weekly and monthly and yearly connection and connecting in. And so it's an exploration with how you receive information. You know, the 4 major intuitive gifts are the clairvoyant, you see messages, you see the visions. The clairaudient, you hear, you get downloads, you hear the message. There's the clairsentient where you just feel it, you just sense it. And then there's the claircognizant where you just have an inner knowing of what's coming through. So the communication is getting to know what your dominant gifts are, where you feel it in the body, because normally you feel it somewhere in the physical body. Our intuitive gift is really, I always say our gifts are from the neck down. They're out of our head and in our body. Everybody receives differently and feels it differently. The communication is just getting to know how your body works with your intuitive gifts.
Beautiful. And now everybody could at least tap into these. Maybe they don't have them as strong as Allyson, but we are all capable of this. It's just another way. It's just another thing, like another sense, 4 other senses.
It's just another thing. Everybody's capable. Some people are going to be more open, like me, because of my NDE. I'm open, and that's why I teach this stuff. You know, this is what I do. I teach people how to do it. And everybody has these gifts, everybody. And everybody has the ability to take their gifts wherever they are today and amplify them to something more open.
Now let's use the last one. You said claircognizant. Somebody does this work. We do the 5-step process. Now, I kind of just know things, and I would say even I kind of like that one. I feel like I may have a little bit of power there. What would be the next step in being able to merge this tool with the material world of making money, of turning 50,000 into 500,000? How does that process look? And I'm sure you're kind of involved with your clients through that whole thing too.
Yeah. So I always say it gets back to energy and intuition. And I like to guide people to asking 2 really powerful what questions and having your intuition answer, because this is what this does. What is a very powerful question? How gets us into lack energy? Who can kind of put too much pressure on ourselves? But what is a very empowering question? So you want to get very clear with your higher self of what you want. Like, what do you want in your business, wherever you are? So if I were to ask your higher self, Scott, like tapping into your inner knowing, like what do you want to bring into your business, let's say in the first quarter of the year? What's one thing that you'd like to achieve or experience in your business in the first quarter? What does your inner
Is
knowing
that,
tell you?
I mean, I could say what I was feeling, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I would have said joy and stillness while making money is always the goal, really.
Nice. While making money. I love that. Joy and stillness while making money. So that's the first what question. It's always very clear. I think so often in business, we get really muddled about what it is we want. And then sometimes we think, like, say we want 10 new clients, but we have no time in our agenda. So 10 new clients actually feels really overwhelming. So it's like we're telling the universe we want 10 clients, but we don't, but we do, but we don't. So it's just about being really clear with your energy, and your higher self will guide you to what it is you really want. Yeah. And so this feels like a very aligned answer. Scott wants to be joy and still while making money. I like it. So that's the first what question. The second what question is, what do you need to do or be to align to that desire? So what do you need to do or be to align to that desire?
Oh, I need to let go of some negative emotions.
Aha. Nice. Yes. And what do you need to be? What do you need to be to align to that dream, that goal?
I need to be disciplined and present.
I like that. Disciplined and present. Okay. So then what I would say to you as your next step is, there's a lot of different ways you can do this, but are you someone who likes to journal or not too into journaling?
I would say 50-50. 50-50.
Okay.
For the right stuff, I can get into journaling, honestly.
So it's now just an exploration as to what does this mean and what does this mean to your daily life. So I'm being called to be disciplined and present. I would spend some time journaling that question. What does that look like? It's just a free flow of journaling, or you can do voice dictation, or you can just like allow, like do some visioning. You know, you allow your intuitive gifts to like kick in and just allow a vision to unfold in your mind's eye. What does being disciplined and present really look like? What does it look like in your experience? What does it look like in your day? And the more you can get into these energetic vibrations now of being disciplined and present, and the more you can be in the energetic vibrations now of being joy and still and, let's say, abundant, of making money, today in this moment, you are aligning to that energy frequency of what you wish to experience in a month or 2 or 3. And when you can align your energy today to that vision of what you want to experience tomorrow or the next day, it has to come into your experience. It can't not. That's the law of energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. No. I'm just and because you have this vision that's pulling you forward, like we discussed. Really, what you're doing, it sounds like, in this process, before you do after the what questions, figure out what you want, sort of. Then you're kind of just working your way through these feelings of just being around that. Because even though I say this stuff, I like really want it. I don't really ponder this that much because I'm like, I gotta fucking work. So it's like it's very interesting how we want these things, but I guess you don't naturally put the time into the being, the feeling the abundance and, all these kind of things that you would think to do, but don't really think about too much. It's pretty cool.
Well, the more you can bring these emotions into your experience in this moment, and I'm the first to say it's very challenging when you have a day job that is like has you plugged into technology and you're responding to things and you got all this stuff going on. It's hard to like be still and present. Like I know I worked in a high pressure cooker job for 17 years. So I appreciate the challenge in that, but you can find your moments. Your 4 a.m. meditation is definitely a moment. And even when you just like, if you could take a moment, mid-morning and you walk around your building, just find the in-betweens. I find the in-betweens are so powerful. So what's an in-between? You're sitting on the metro. You're at the line in the grocery store. What do we always do? We reach for our phones and we start scrolling. If you can resist that urge to grab your phone and instead just drop into, in your case, when you find yourself in an in-between and you find yourself wanting to reach your phone, resist the urge and instead call up the feelings of joy. Call up the feelings of stillness. Call up the feelings of abundance. That's not making money. Call up that feeling of being disciplined and being present. Just spend 30 seconds in that energy. And you are doing so much to bring those things into your physical experience just by being in that energy.
Yes. And I was sort of doing this in the beginning of the year, and I think I just anger at work just made me forget, because I just want to. I'm a little controlling, Allyson. I never got to do it my way, and nobody's gonna bother me. And then my boss bothers me, and I'm like, oh. So you are correct. And all this stuff. Listen, I know we went a little woo woo. It's very practical, right? You even if you go to Tony Robbins psychology, where focus goes, energy flows. If you're thinking about feeling good and being connected and being abundant and being joyous, these things will show up in your life, which I think is like the coolest part of this. We can prove all of this stuff from scientific places, from psychology places, and fuck it, a little spirituality, a little woo-woo stuff. It's nice because it's all we need all of these tools to combat, I think, what we're seeing in the world today. And it's like, all right, maybe you need more psychology and science, less woo-woo. Maybe you need a little bit more woo-woo. Like, it's nice to have the options. That's why I love all this stuff, because I want to know all of it. And I want to know it now. You know?
Yes. And I'm totally with you. And I want everybody to know that I am a goal. Like I said, I have a lot of masculine energy. I'm goal oriented. I'm about making money in my business. And I have a very successful business. From 2019 to 20, I tripled my yearly income. From 20 to 21, I doubled it. And from 21 to 22, I tripled it again. I now have a multi six-figure business going to 7. And I'm telling you from experience and from working with lots of clients that this stuff works. And it's not because it's cool and fun and kind of interesting. It really works. It really brings in success and money and abundance. And it does it really from a place of joy and ease, and not the burnout and not that hustling your way to get it. So I am totally with you. But I too, I'm a results person. Like, show me the money. Like, I want to get results, right? And so for listeners out there who are like, well, I'm not so sure. I just want results. Like, I can tell you firsthand that it can definitely lead to results in your experience.
Yeah. And I would tell people, be open-minded with these things, because I've done the Tony Robbins coaching, and I've done the classic Western, and listen, it's great. I just think that's more of a short-lived thing where you're just, find the goals, hit the goals, because you need more. You need what do you truly value? Because eventually you're going to have that conversation with yourself, even if you want to build a business. Because I working with these billionaires, I see them, you have all the money, and if you don't feel good about it, like what is the point of any of it? Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, one of my billionaires last week, Allyson, I'll tell you quickly, he was mad his friend was worth $6 billion and he's worth $4 billion. I'm like, this is what you are worried about, dude. You got 4 billion with a B billion. I was like, man, we can just, we gave you a little bit of joy and stillness. You'd be way better.
It's so true. It's so true. And I had my old career. I didn't have money, but I had status. I had tons of status in my old career, which, some people like. I had power. I was around really influential people, and I was so unhappy. So it was just like no amount of being around really cool people and having these cool titles and getting to travel these cool places when you're just so burnt out and so not into the work. It's not worth it. It's just not worth it. And I think status or money, it's the same thing. If you don't have the joy on the journey, you're never, your third, your fourth Rolex watch is never going to get you. It's never going to get you more joy unless you fundamentally have joy on the journey.
Exactly. And I feel lucky enough to I chased the money and the women, and I got to them pretty quickly. So I realized, like, this is not the answer. So if you guys want to try it for yourself, definitely go ahead, rock and roll. Meet me at the club at 2:30. I'll see you there for a bottle. But I can tell you that will not get you that real, lasting fulfillment. So
that's it. And hey, I think we've all had our chasing the bottle at the club moments. I know I did. And it made me who I am today. It made you who you are today. You know, it's like every experience counts, right? And so if you're in that moment now where you're like in that bottle and you're at that club and it's not feeling good for you and you don't know how to shift out of it, I will say I'm with you. I see you. I support you. And all I invite you to do is go to invitation. Go to invitation. I invite in something different into my experience. I am ready. And just allow it to unfold, because it will.
Absolutely. Beautiful stuff, Allyson. Thank you so much for coming on. This was so much fun.
Oh my gosh, thank you. And I hope I didn't go too woo, but you pulled it
No,
out of me.
gosh.
It was you who did
That's what I
it.
want. That's what I wanted. I need a little bit of woo. I haven't been talking about woo in a minute. I was like, let's throw some classic in here. But everybody can find all the notes for Allyson below. Check out her podcast, Soul Guide Radio. You're hearing this on Thursday, but we're gonna make sure I'll push out some of the stuff for the 222 event tomorrow. Allyson, anything else? Did I hit it all?
You hit it all. Thank you so much. This was such a pleasure.
Cool. Cause and the Effect community, thank you guys so much. People on YouTube seeing this third or fourth video up, this is very exciting for me. Please leave a review, subscribe, tell one of your friends about it. As always, stay safe, stay positive, stay blessed. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.